So this is about to get real. What's up, you guys, and welcome back to So by Gigi 101. So today is Wednesday, which could only mean one thing. It's time for another recap, review, whatever, of Pretty Little Lies, The Perfectionist. You guys, this show is starting to get real, okay? And this episode was giving me so many Pretty Little Liars, like, feels, and I get it. It is supposed to be a spinoff of Pretty Little Liars, and I initially really wanted it to be its own entity and not have a lot of Pretty Little Liars like influence in it. But I like how it's almost like a passing down of the wand of PLL. So basically, you have the original liars, you know, Aria, Alison, Hannah, Spencer, you know, my favorite, and RB, aka Aria, and then there was Mona. And now it's like they're passing down the baton to these new kids, Ava, Kaitlyn, and Dylan. And you guys, I am so here for it. So as you saw in the beginning of this clip, I'm Marlena King did answer one of my tweets, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but this whole entire episode focuses on really the connection between Ava, Kaitlyn, and Dylan and how they're starting to form a friendship. So originally they weren't really friends. They were like associates in reality, but like best friends to the public, because the one common denominator that they had was Nolan. And I guess the same thing could be said about the original Pretty Little Liar girls, because once Alison faked her own death, or everyone thought that she was dead because she was missing, the girls didn't hang out after that. They fell apart because Alison was the glue that kept them together. And then they reconnected through A. So with the Perfectionist, how they're connecting is because they're trying to keep all their secrets safe because of Nolan's death. And so we see a lot of that, and all of their secrets, with the exception of Ava's secret, being exposed. So Booker, who is the new Tanner, she comes into play with Kaitlyn, showing her the pictures that she had gotten off of Nolan's phone of her mother, who's supposed to be a lesbian political figure, having an affair with a man. So we all know why Kaitlyn was all up in a heavel about anybody finding out about that. And then while Dylan was practicing his cello, he was playing, he's creating a solo for his boyfriend for their 1-year anniversary. And while he was scrolling on his iPad through the sheet music, a picture popped up and wouldn't remove itself from his iPad of him lying in bed with Nolan. And at that very same moment that it popped up, Booker's in the doorway. And it's like, bruh, what you doing here? And it's pretty much what Dylan asked. And now, you know, she puts it in his ear like, I don't know what your secret is, but are you sure you can trust your secret with the other two girls? Good question. And Booker also approached Kaitlyn and showed her the pictures, like I said earlier. And when she had approached Kaitlyn and showed her the pictures, before she had spoken to Kaitlyn, Booker had actually met up with Nolan's mom, Clare. I had to think about her name for a second. And she showed her the video of all of them being in that little circle and then going their separate ways right before Nolan was killed in the building that was in front of that spot. And Claire firmly believes that Kaitlyn had nothing to do with it because she's so pro Kaitlyn, and she pretty much tells Booker gives her permission to use whatever information she has to get them to talk, because she knows Kaitlyn has nothing to do with it, but she's still very much so suspicious of Ava and Dylan. So she says, you know, if you approach Kaitlyn with that information, I'm 100% sure she's going to come to me. So obviously when she does, when Booker does go, she approaches Kaitlyn, and Kaitlyn does go to Claire, and she asks Claire not to like let those pictures get out. And Claire agrees under the basis that she would do some digging and find out what Nolan had over Dylan and Ava. And so she contemplates doing that because her family is really, really, really important to her. So Claire also gives her a box that said this was a birthday gift from Nolan, but she knew good enough to know that it really wasn't for her. And she goes to give it to Ava, and she sees Ava's diary. Now, Ava had been drinking all day, trying to figure out how to do her video entry for an internship at Vogue. And a character named Zoe approached her on that. And we'll get into Zoe in a little bit. But she had stepped away to go get food because, she was drinking a lot. Homegirl, she's drinking a lot. And Kaitlyn sees her diary and begins to read the first paragraph of a very, very, very long entry. And she decides not to. Ava walks in. And what originally bonded them was that when Nolan was with them, they told Ava and Dylan that they had to help Kaitlyn with this charity that she was doing to help her mom's campaign. And in the very beginning, they all said no. But Ava decided to help her because Ava gave her the box, which was a gift from Nolan, and we find out what it was a little bit later. And then Dylan decided to come and help, but Dylan admitted that the only reason why he came to help was because Booker had gotten into his head. So that was like midway through the episode, and then they all come together, and Ava tells them that she actually followed Nolan on the night that he died to this cabin in the woods, because everything with I, Marlena King happens in the woods. Like in PLL, there was this skeevy hotel that Mona uses her original A-layer in the hotel in the woods. And now there's a cabin in the woods everybody's going to. So they go to this cabin in the woods to see if they could find any information. And they run into Alison. Now, we saw in the previews that they run into someone in that particular cabin last episode. But I think everyone was under the impression that it would be Taylor, the sister that has committed suicide, which we all know isn't dead. And it was actually Alison. So she said, they asked why was she there? She asked why were they there, and they just decided to kind of look around. And Dylan found something but didn't want to disclose it with Alison, and then Alison found something and Alison didn't want to disclose it with them. And then they all leave, but Alison doesn't actually leave. Alison just walks away. She round trips back around, and she finds a flower that is not dead, even though the building has been vacant for quite some time. So that's a huge clue, finding a beautiful flower in an abandoned building. That obviously means someone's been there. Meanwhile, Ava, Kaitlyn, and Dylan, I will never forget those names because I actually have 3 students in my class with those names. Just saying. They were driving off, and Dylan was in the back seat, and he smelled something kind of funky. And they pull over, and there's a rat in the box that had all of Nolan's secrets that they were looking for and they couldn't find in that greenhouse last episode. So before they even find the rat, because there's a note, obviously, it's I, Marlena King show, there's going to be a note. So in that box, before he finds the box, he says that he found the same gum wrapper, and initially they just disregarded it, and Kaitlyn said 2 is coincidence, 3 is a pattern. So then he smells it. They go, there's a note. And the note says, one of you is a rat. Someone snitch or I will. Very A-esque, you guys. Very A-esque. And so Ava throws it out of her car. They get in the car. They go back to the school. I must say earlier in the episode, though, Mason, who we talked about last week, was being quite the little jerkwad in this episode because he started to get Ava upheaval in Alison's class by sitting in Nolan's seat. And, I was, Mason. So obviously Ava gets very upset and goes to lunge at him, but Dylan grabs her up, and then Alison wants to meet with Mason, and Mason, she's done her research and has found out that they were best friends, and they had what Mason referred to as a healthy rivalry. Until Nolan stole his girlfriend, Kaitlyn. So Mason looks mad sus. Now let's go back to Zoe. Zoe is the girl that walked in on Ava day drinking, right? Zoe also was helping Kaitlyn with the charity for her mom's political event. And I just, who is this? Who is Zoe? Because these arbitrary characters, as we know, are never actually arbitrary. They've got meaning, and I want to know what that meaning is. I'm Arlena King. So, while all that is going on with the three main new liars, you have Mona trying to gain access to her Beacon Heights account, and she's lost access, and she finds out through IT that one person has blocked all of her information, which means that somebody knows that she's searching or like researching into the death of Nolan. And Alison has gone to Mona to try and help her figure this out, but she can't gain access. And so Mona actually gives her a yearbook and says, right now, this is the only thing that we have, and this is what Booker is going to be basing all of her information on. And so from the book, from the yearbook, Alison saw the picture of Nolan and Mason in that cabin, which was why Alison was at the cabin. But then she saw the flower, and she brought the flower back to her house, which I personally wouldn't have done, but I mean, hey, here we go. So she brings the flower back, and she realizes this is the same flower that is at the stone for Taylor. So she now goes to Mona, who Mona was just starting to get access into her account. And I think it had something to do with the chest, because she had mentioned, I think the episode before, that she plays chess virtually with someone. I think it had something to do with that. She gets access, and the minute she gets access, Alison knocks on the door, and she brings up her faking her own death and saying that she thinks that Taylor has faked her own death. And now, as a result, it's now, next episode is being promoted as trying to find out the secret of really what went on with Taylor Hotchkiss. Where is she really? And is she actually dead? Because Alison does not believe that she's dead. So tonight was actually a really awesome episode, and I cannot wait for next week's episode. But I do have some questions. I don't know if you want to call them theories, but I definitely have some questions, some speculations. I want to know, who is Mona playing with on the other side of that virtual reality chess game? I want to know, who is Zoe and what is her connection to everything? Because Zoe was in everything tonight. I want to know, what is Ava's secret? Oh, that's the other thing they promoted for next week. Ava receives a mystery box, and it's apparently a gift from her father, because she opens up the box and goes, Daddy, does this mean you're back? And so I want to know what Ava's secret is. And I just want to point out two things that I've loved about tonight's episode and the show in general. The one thing that I loved about tonight's episode was that Alison is like, Mona just kept calling her Allie. Where did that ever happen? Never. But now they realize that, it's the two of them. Like, they got to be in this together. So that titillated my senses personally. And then the second thing that I'm really loving is this orchestra version of these pop songs and like hit songs. Like, I noticed it at the funeral. I don't remember what song they played, but it's like an orchestra, maybe a cello. I don't know what instrument it is. I know it's a string instrument, but I'm not sure which one. They play these popular songs on like a cello or some really elegant string music. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but tonight they played Lady Gaga's Just Dance, and I'm here for it. I love it. I love things like that. Oh, psychotherapy. Talk through it, girl. I also noticed in tonight's episode that their student union is called Cochrane Union. So when I heard Cochrane, I'm thinking Johnny Cochran. I'm like, is that a clue? Because I'm Arlena King gives me PTSD, and I think everything is a clue. Because with Pretty Little Liars, when I thought something wasn't a clue, it was a clue. And when I thought something was a clue, the next episode they turned around and made it seem like it wasn't a clue. And it was. And I was right. Now I'm paranoid. But it's cool. Oh, did I tell you guys about the gum wrapper? I told you that Dylan had found the gum wrapper, right? And that Ava said 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. Well, when Ava was walking home after the whole boxing charity event thing that she did, she runs into Mason and his posse. Who these people are and what Mason does to have a posse, nobody knows, girl. Nobody knows, boy. But he was like, do you want us to help you? Because there is, like, walk you home because there is a killer around. And she's all like, nah, I'm good. And he throws a gum wrapper into the garbage, but it's like a miss, a huge fail. And it happens to be the same gum wrapper. And this is where the PLL connection comes in, because the scene literally ended with Kaitlyn making a phone call and saying, I think I know who was in the woods with us that night. It was Mason. And I was just like, PLL vibes. But yeah, so that's all that happened. I cannot wait to see what is going to happen next week. I really, really, really have been enjoying reconnecting with you guys and seeing your comments in the comment section, which is down below. And I just, oh my God, you guys, are you guys enjoying this as much as I'm enjoying this? Please tell me you are. And please tell me that you are live tweeting with me. Like, literally the only time my Twitter gets opened is like on Wednesdays. That's literally the only time I open my Twitter. Not even exaggerating. But that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, or if you enjoyed me and you want to see more from me, then you know what to do. You need to rate, comment, subscribe, and join the Gigi Meister Pod Squad and come swimming with us on all of our adventures. And I will be seeing you same time, same day for another recap, review, whatever, of The Perfectionist. And y'all tweet I'm Marlena King, because she needs to hire me. She needs to cast me for her show, because we all know I will make a bomb character in one of her shows. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.